I don't know what I said before. It's silly, right? Right. But then what came with that was I got attacked. Rappers thought I was trying to steal their food.
Yeah.
Right. So rappers, I remember, I never forget one rap. It was, what was the hip hop magazine? Was it called Hip Hop or something?
Hip Hop Connection.
Hip Hop Connection.
This guy, you're like,
No, he's
you're like
don't
a
play with
historian,
him.
this guy.
Don't play with him, right? Do not play with him, right? And we was talking back there. I knew. I said, this one here is a real problem, right?
He knows everything.
It's Richard Blackwood that said that.
He's the real deal Holyfield. Don't get nothing twisted. He's the real deal Holyfield.
All right.
If you get the pleasure to meet with him, just talk with him, right? He is way beyond his years, right?
Don't gas his. Don't gas him.
No, you
Don't gas him. Don't gas him. He's already got a bath.
He's got more to come. He's got more to come.
He's got more to come.
He's got more to come.
Let me not derail your story.
No. But you've got to
I'm
keep it up.
joking.
No. But what it is that, so I was given, I was offered all these different things. And I took them. I was like, all right, I'll take this, I'll take that. And as I said, so when I did the music, I'm going to keep it brief because I want everybody to talk. But when I did the music, I remember Hip Hop Connection did an interview with me. I was on the front cover. Right. And literally they got this rapper to come down and battle me because he was like, he's not a rapper, blah, blah. And I looked at him. I goes, brother, you all right? I goes, you would beat me. I said, look, you, what you're misconstruing here is that they're not looking at British rap right now.
Yes.
Because after London Posse and the Demon Boys and people like that and the Black Twangs, there was a lull in terms of them putting the light on British rap. They were British rappers, but they weren't getting the accolade they deserved, right? They weren't getting it. And I knew them all, asked them. I knew all of them. Rodney P, they were all friends of mine. We all grew up together. Black Twang, I knew them all, right? Do you know what I mean? Right? But they just weren't getting the accolade, right? Do you know what I mean? There wasn't a market there because it wasn't selling in that way, right? So then they came to me and I said, and I'll do interviews and I say, I'm rapping to highlight that there are rappers better than me that are here.
Right.
So I'm just trying to bring the light over in my naive attempt to make you go, you thought I was good. Look at this plethora of rappers over here that are really doing this thing. That's what it was about for me, right? Because I was already successful. I didn't need the music.
Yeah.
Right? Do you know what I mean? Right? But what it was is that the only rapper, there's a couple rappers that was on my side, right? A few of them, but one in particular, Rodney P. I never forget, man. He called me up. Right. And he goes, and Rodney was a hero of mine. He didn't know this. To this day, he doesn't even know this. And Rodney was like, I know what you're trying to do. He goes, forget them, man. He goes, I know what you're trying to do. And I said, Rodney, I'm not trying to step on no one's toes. I said, they offered me this, you know? And he goes, them man, they would have taken it. He goes, everybody would have taken it. He goes, I'm just trying to go, look over here. Look. Because every
there's
interview,
Black British rap. It exists.
Every interview I did, I mentioned all these same people. Look, so he'd seen this. He's like, he's mentioning us. And I'm like, but because it was new, that's the reason why it got the love and the hate. Anyway, so all of that was happening. And this is something that I don't think black people, I think African people are very good with this. Money management. African people generally, and I know it's a whole continent, but West Africans in particular, very good when it comes to money management. Caribbeans
splurge. Yeah, they splurge.
Right? So I was coming up in a time where the most of your black parents would say Caribbean is, right, put some away for a rainy day. That's all you would hear. Put some away for a rainy day. But whereas Africans would go, take that, put it into that, take that, put it into that.
Yeah.
They were taught that from young, right? But we weren't taught that. Mostly Caribbeans weren't really taught that. So I was like, if I put £20 over here, I'm fine. But I'm going to buy that car.
That's not enough.
Because we weren't taught that, right? So, and then over generous. If I had a BM, you're going to have one. Right? Do you know what I mean? Right? That's because also it's a way of flossing, but it's a way of like, we're all rolling together, innit? I'm not just rich.
That's my boy, innit?
That's my boy, right? So I'm generous anyway. Anybody that knows me, I'm generous anyway.
All right, now you say that, I want some money, but go on.
But I'm smart. Right? I'm generous. So I was giving and blah, blah, blah. And then when I fell on my face, because all that really happened was that I was signed in America. I left MTV, went to America, I was signed to Fox. They had a holding deal on me. So I wasn't allowed to work in the UK no more, hence why I had to leave MTV. But Fox, I wasn't ready as an actor. In America, you guys have been to America, you know. America, they can do it right now. So they go, oh my God, I love you. So we got this movie coming out and you're going to be the star.
Yeah.
And blah, blah.
Yeah,
you go,
yeah,
what?
yeah.
Sorry, what?
Yeah.
You're going to be acting with this person, that person, blah, blah. And you got, sorry, what? We're going to start filming tomorrow. It's very now.
Fast track.
It's very now because they've got the money. Let's do it now. So I'm out there and I'm having all these meetings. I'm going forward. They wrote, listen, my manager in America woke up the person that owned Disney to see me on a Sunday for an audition. And I goes, why are you here? And he goes, Jeff Berg told me I need to be here. So what do you want to do? What do you want us to do for you? And I was like, what? I'm 28, 29. I don't know what the hell's going on. Right. I say all that to say the treadmill was running too fast.
Right.
And God's thing for me was like, this is not it yet.
Yeah.
You've got a journey to go and your journey is going to inspire. So right now, you're not going to like me at this part. You're going to fall off.
Right.
You're going to fall very hard. Right. At the time, I'm a God-fearer. I hated God. Because my thing is, I'm a good person. Why are you doing this to me?
Right.
Right. Do you know what I mean? Why is it public that I've gone bankrupt? The only time I made a cover of a black magazine was when I got the New Nation for being bankrupt.
I was on the cover of New Nation as well. For Crouches, but it's a whole other thing.
There you go. Right.
Yeah.
And so even my own black people were not supporting me as much as you would think.
But a lot of them are waiting for it.
Because I was the only one.
A lot of them were waiting for you to fall off.
Yeah, right.
And they were like, you see, with some waste, man, anyway.
I got all of that, right? So, but I say...
That's how black people are, a lot of them.
But you see, so me falling off so I was meant to disappear. But this is why I say that it's bigger than me, it's God. The reason why I look the way I look at my age and blah, blah, I train Muay Thai, blah, blah, is that God's going, you see, when you come back, because you haven't really gone nowhere, but when you land the thing I'm going to land for you, and I'm saying it here now, without it being here now, when you land that thing, he goes, all those people that don't follow you on Instagram, as we were talking all those people that act like, Richard, are going to be the same people going, Richard,
I always knew you.
And I'm saying it now with them watching going, yeah, right. Because it's bigger than you, it's God.
Yes.
Right? Do you know what I mean? So, because I know that my journey, our journeys, whatever God's got planned for us, nobody can falter. Right? Do you know what I mean? So, me coming up in the time that I did, I was the person that kicked down a lot of the doors that everybody's walking through now. A lot. Listen, even podcasting. I was doing podcasting version of that on Choice FM.
Yes, you were doing the radio.
Let's just have it right. Me, Kat, were like the Sundays.
Yeah, you and Kat. Yeah,
we were the first podcasters because we were just chatting about everything and people calling in and blah blah blah. Then it was me, Aaron Fontaine, and all these people that we were doing it before it, and then it turned into podcasts. But we were the first, right? Do you know what I mean? But people will not give that up. And the reason why they don't give up is because they kind of don't know, because it's not been said. So everybody comes and goes, we were the first. And it's like, no, you weren't, right? Rappers, we were talking about it, right? We see rappers going, yeah, I was the first to do this. And it's like, do you even know who Caveman is? Do you know about Moni in the Middle back in the 80s? Do you know about Cookie Crew, right? Born This Way in the 80s? Do you know about that? Right? Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't know about, if I say Caveman, you don't know who that is.
Nah.
Right? Caveman was a group that had a big tune. Derek B. Right? Derek B. He had a tune out in the early 80s. Rapper. Right? So this is what I'm trying to say. These people, right? Moni Love was the first British rapper to have success, real success in America.
Yeah.
Everybody does
Akemnji. Sorry, someone's saying Akemnji.
Go on.
You've been going for a while, but how do you deal with fame, bro?
The way I deal with fame is I'm not famous, so I don't.
You've got a whole BAFTA sitting on your show. What are you talking about,
but I've got one of these interesting careers whereby like people don't really know who I am. And you said something to me earlier where like you go in rooms with the assumption that you don't know that
people don't know who you are.
Yeah, and I, for the most part, don't. So like I was in a queue yesterday. We went to I was queuing to get tickets yesterday. Went to a WizKid show and like queuing for like the guest list tickets or whatever. And then two ladies in front of me like recognized me off for something. And I was like quite like taken aback because I never assumed that I'm in that pantheon of like known people. Like I do things, but like my success in the last few years has mostly come from me being behind the camera.
Yeah.
If you see what I'm saying. Like, so I've been on TV since I was like 11, 12, but I've never sort of, I've resigned myself to the fact that I've got one of those faces that people don't know where they know me from. And it's that kind and that's like not a bad place to be. Because
that's what Stormzy said. Where do we know you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's actually kind of helpful from an actor perspective because it means I just get to go in the role, do the role. Like I was in Life and Lyrics, but you had to be like, oh yeah, he was in that.
That's right.
Because I did the thing, I did the role and bounced, did the next thing. And so in terms of fame, I don't really have that. I have some famous friends or people who are known and I see what they have to deal with in terms of managing that. Not that it's a bad thing, like, but they handle it quite gracefully. But for me, I want to do the money, get the money quietly. You know what I mean?
Right.
Do the thing, get the, you know, and do the work as well. But in terms of, and also, I also just keep a very small kind of crew of people.
Right.
In terms of like, my day one school friends, you know what I mean? I can name them on like one hand or like my actual friends, you know what I mean? So I'm not really out and about like as much. And usually like for instance yesterday, you know, there was a little afters and stuff like that. I didn't really go to that. I'm not really interested in all that.
Right.
And I struggle with it sometimes because I'm cognizant of the fact that you have to put yourself out. You have to do things like that. And it is part of our business. And I also, when people do kind of receive me and say, oh, we've seen your work, I deal with it as gracefully and respectfully as I can because it's nice when people show love. But I also just have a real kind of simple kind of life. Like my dad and my mum are very well known in Hackney because they ran a business. They ran pubs. So I'm still Tandy's son when I'm in Hackney. So like I'll cross the road and see friends of my dad's. That's what I'll do. I'll cross the road and see them and say hello and all of that type of stuff. So I'm not thinking about like, oh, I was on TV last night. You know what I mean? I've got that to ground me. You know what I mean? And
Mel's dad used to have a restaurant
around the corner in Dalston. Yeah. I know. He what did he do? He had like an enterprise. He had like an African thing, but we never crossed paths. But I met his dad. But no, I didn't know at the time. But I know we now know some of the same people.
But being from where you're from, though, Akemnji,
yeah.
What was it like to be from where you're from and win a BAFTA?
It was amazing. It was one of those things where like, look, my speeches on YouTube, it's like 5 minutes. You know, them speeches should be about 2 minutes. I didn't care. Because the most important thing is I had to thank mum, dad, and God. Yeah. Unfortunately, I didn't get to thank my big sister because she's the reason why like my taste in music is what it is, and all that good stuff.
Right.
But she'll get her thanks in other ways. I got to thank mum and dad, and that is documented forever because as a child growing up in Hackney, you know, grew up on Rhodes Estate right next to Holly Street. We were, there's kind of two ways you can go really as young kids, you know, especially like late 80s, early 90s. There's two ways you can go. And I just wanted to create stuff and do stuff. So my parents put me in everything. They put me in, I learned to play the guitar. Like my guitar teacher was in Holly Street. So I used to walk to Holly Street, learn to play the guitar. I used to go to drama school on Saturdays. I even played like street hockey. I played hockey because I watched the Mighty Ducks.
Roller hockey?
Yeah. I played the Mighty Ducks.
Mighty Ducks was the big
You
one.
played for Mighty Ducks?
No, so I watched the Mighty Ducks rather, like D2, the sequel. And I was like, I want to do this. And I said to my dad, like, whatever we can do, I want to play this game. And then there was a black, his name was Derek Norkeji, Nigerian guy he was a coach and he ran an outfit called the Islington Panthers. And I remember going there. My dad would drop me every Wednesday. I was terrible. But
you could roller skate then?
I can roller skate.
Did you ever go to Roller Express?
Yes. Yes.
I used to go to Roller Express all the time.
And Bagley's as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, and Bagley's, you know what I mean? And so so dad and mum put me in every possible thing. You know, they put the money together, made it happen, you know, tag teamed in terms of picking me up and dropping me off. So in terms of like being from where I'm from, and being, you know, being a kid from Hackney, and, you know, Hackney's had its kind of reputational stuff, just like Tottenham, just like Brixton, you know, like areas that are kind of known for badness and stuff. And actually to be me and for some young kid to be like, oh, you're from you stomp the same pavements as me.
Yes.
And actually you can do this. Cause look, we, you know, a lot of things are glamorized. A lot of badness is glamorized. Like glamorized within our culture. So actually just having someone who's just doing his thing and doing something creative is actually I'm glad I was able to show the younger version of me that that's possible. But that was only possible because, you know, like I've seen, you know, like a version of success from yourself. Like I told you in there, probably the first time I met you, I told you, because Richard, I had to remind him that the first time I met him, I was doing doctors in like 2004 in Birmingham. I lived there. I remember he would come through to Nando's. I was with my girlfriend at the time. And I just remember saying like, yo, my name's Akemnji, and like, I'm like Robbie G's little son, and and you're doing your thing. You proper inspired me. And I always give it up. That was always my thing.
Was that friendly?
You were super friendly. You were super friendly. You were super nice. And like, but my point being is that like it's not magic like the way these things happen. There's always a process and there's always a reason, and there's always like information is fed in. And I think one of the themes of this chat has been like the sharing of information and the archiving of information.
Yes.
So that the oncoming generation knows what it is. And I was always very reverent to the generation that came before. I'm the type of person, not that because I want praise for it. If I see an actor, younger or older, or someone who's had an impact, or like I see they're doing their thing, I'll run up to them, slap them 5 and then keep it moving. I won't even say, oh, I'm an actor. I'll just keep it moving. And that's white or black. There's some like big boy actors who I've just seen like jogging in the park, and I've been like, yo, you're a bad boy. And I've left. And then about a month later, I'm in a writing room with them.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's just mad like that. Like, things like that are mad. But to not ramble and get back to your point, it was a glorious moment for me in my life. And that feeling, like, if ever I'm down, I always go back to that feeling of like, when my name was called out, because it was actually, look, you come in this game and you kind of want everything, especially if you're young.
Yes.
You want all the spoils. And I'll be completely honest, I always knew I was going to do good things in this business, and I had like a really cool, consistent career. But I didn't know that I'd win a BAFTA for like the show that I wanted, because I won it not for
Famalam, right?
What's that? Hector, is it?
She did series 3. She did series 3, so she came through and did series 3. Yeah, she was great in it.
Yeah.
And we did Famalam, and that was like. And in the spirit of like saying about how things happen, like Famalam was the process of like, was the sort of the end process of like, relationships and stuff. So Javon Prince had a show called The Javon Prince Show. And Javon's a good friend of mine, and he brought me in to do the pilot as an actor. He was like, look, come through, come do this. And then he introduced me to Phil Balker, who was the producer, and Phil was like really sweet and took me under his wing and said like, look, come and be a writer on this thing. And so I have to salute Javon, you know, for that bringing. And then Famalam was a sort of thing where I got to bring in people who I loved or rated and you know, and help create platforms for them. And like the nicest thing was like last year, someone put out this tweet and it was like, TV Today owes a debt to Famalam. And you know, and it was kind of an interesting thing because they said like John McMillan, who's in Game of Thrones, Bemisola Ikamelo, who's in a league of their own and has her own BAFTA for her show that she created, Vivian Champong, who's in Sandman, Samson Kayo, and the list goes on. You know, the list goes on, and it's been such a great
Samson.
It's been such a great opportunity to do that. But that's what I want it for, you know what I mean? So that legacy lives. And it's just nice to, you know what, like I've been doing it since I was 11. So to still be doing it and doing it at a high level and doing what I love and be healthy, happy, and, you know, bread's coming in, all that type of stuff. It's good. So I really can't complain.
Can't complain.
No,
I'm going to ask you guys as actors, right? Before we get going.
Yeah.
What is the one role that you can all say got away from you? Samuel.
Let you go first.
Yeah, Samuel, what's a run? Did you have a role that got away from you? That you think, if only I'd done better.
A lot of roles.
Give me one.
Mate, I can't. Off the top of my head, I'm going to have to think hard and pick one.
Go on, Akemnji.
I'll jump in and say that, like, I mean, there's been a few recently, actually, and I don't want to, you know, just for not, you know, disrespecting, you know, the people playing it, whatever. There's been a few recently, but actually, just as a holistic thing, the roles that I haven't got have always got me the thing that I was supposed to get. And it's philosophical, and like obviously after the fact you can be like, oh yeah, I weren't supposed to do that because that wasn't the plan. but what is for you will not ignore you. And that's the realest thing ever. And it's like, look, there's been roles from younger that I wish I'd got. I remember, so I suppose at the time, every young black actor went in for Trife in Kidulthood.
Right. Okay.
Every young black actor went in for Trife at Kidulthood, and funny enough, Femi Ayeneran has kept me alive in the business by telling this story. His first ever audition was for Kidulthood with me.
Right.
I was in the thing, and he's told it in interviews so many times, and so everyone was auditioning for that for thing. Femi was always auditioning for Mooney, but yeah, Trife. I remember at the time being like, man, I would have loved to have, but that was a Mel's. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, Mel had that in it.
That was his thing. But I mean, I'm just using that as an example of like everything that I've done has led
somewhere else.
You know, I was in the History Boys, the first West End cast, and there's like I've got two friends from that who are friends to this day, because of that experience. And at the time, even though it was a big, amazing thing, West End, and we did a tour, I was like, man, but I want to be on telly. Now there was a reason for doing that. I toured the country. I got to learn certain things. I did another play at the National, which, you know, at the time, like everyone was doing films. I was like, why am I doing
plays?
Yeah, I want to be doing in the films. That group of like maybe 6-7 actors, we are like that. After 16 years, we'll turn 6. I was out for dinner with Anna Nightingale the other day. Just bumped into her. She's part of that crew, and she was like, "You know, we're going to be all in the old people's home, like still connected off of this time that we spent 6 months because we bonded like that." So I'm quite philosophical about how roles work. I just kind of go, look, one role will not define a career, because there was also a point where like I did this film with Tara Reid at the time, and she was off the back of she just finished American Pie, and she was hotter than fish grease at the time. Yeah. She was, and so I got this part in this film, and I was like, this is it. American film. I was like, this is it. You can't tell me nothing. The film sold like nothing. It went double, you know, if it was,
it went double wood.
It went double wood, baby. It went double wood. It's like, you couldn't even find it on Pirate. You couldn't even find it in the bargain basement. Like, and so that just goes to show you that, that no one role will make a thing and will make a career. It's actually the body of work, the experiences. And I'm only starting to get good. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, I'm only starting to get good. And that's real. And that's real. I wasn't put before. I was good before. But I'm saying I'm only starting
I hate you.
Yeah, no, I'm only starting to really get like, okay. And look, careers are defined by different things, but that's my long-winded way of saying like there's not
there's nothing one that's got away from you.
There's not been one role that
you found it, yeah?
Yeah. So recently Supercell.
Okay.
Rapman.
Yeah.
Nadine's in that. Yeah.
They got me to audition for 2 roles.
Yeah.
Isn't Gets in that as well?
I didn't get none.
Yeah.
Brother.
Yeah.
And you know that's going to be big in it. That's the show people want to be on.
Yeah.
Supercell's going to be big. It's going to be big.
Oh, mate.
But you never know. It might be a season 2.
But also just to throw the philosophy in it, because I know it's hard, because I'm in the same place as you in terms of like, when you don't get the role, you're like, oh man. I'll give you an example. Like my first like big film that I did, it's a film called Out of Control. Dominic Savage, improvised drama. He's like the kind of modern Ken Loach kind of guy. He's done a lot of like stuff. He does the I Am series on Channel 4.
On Channel 4,
Yeah. I auditioned for a film that he did, his second film called When I Was 12. I had like 3 auditions. In my head, I was like, I've got this, because it felt so good. It was like improvised.
Yeah.
He came in, he gave you a synopsis for the scene, and you had to go do it. I was like, I've got this. He wrote me a letter that landed on my birthday that year to tell me I didn't get the role. But he said, I'm going to keep you in mind. You did such a good job. It just didn't work for this. I'm going to keep you in mind. And I was like, whatever. His show went out, and it was the most amazing thing I'd seen. Beautiful film. And then that same week, he was casting for the next film, for his next film, which was Out of Control.
And he got you.
And he got me. And then I got the role. And but it doesn't alys happen. But the thing is to just go in, leave a good mark of yourself. And then you never know. And it's painful to try and like live in that philosophy, because you want a role, innit?
Yeah.
You got bills to pay. I got bills to pay. You know what I mean?
I'd love to be in a conversation for a lot of roles.
Do you know what made me, actually, I always call myself a former actor. You know what, one of the things that made me drop out of acting is that if we go back to 2007, you remember Mike Reed?
Yeah.
right? From EastEnders. You're right,
Told
Pat.
me this.
And I auditioned. Mike Reed had a new show called Filthy Rich. It was going to be on after Ant and Dec's Saturday Night Takeaway, 8 p.m. primetime Saturday night TV. I auditioned from Talkback Thames and got the role. We started shooting. He was like a bank copper. I was like this new guy fresh out of the academy, and I was like, yes, I'm back, I'm going to be back. He went away to Spain and he died. Oof, let him rest in peace. And I was like, I went to the studio, I was like, all right, cool, so what we going to do? Like, all right, cool. And they were like, nah, we're going to scrap it. And I was like, no, this is primetime TV. Like, what do you mean you're going to scrap it? And they were like, nah, we're going to scrap it. And I was like, you know what? Fuck acting. And the reason why I said that is because before that, it had been so up and down for me after doing Family Affairs. It had been so up and down. I'd been doing this drama here, that BBC thing there, this play here. And I'd been getting roles, but I wasn't like on prime time. And this one was. And that's when I kind of fell out of love with it.
Okay, so I'm going to answer it twofold. So there was a lot of roles that I missed out on. I was meant to be in Tomb Raider.
Oh, really?
Right.
The Angelina Jolie or Alicia Vikander?
Angelina.
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
Right. What's his name that played the black guy that played
It's Colin Salmon. It wasn't Colin Salmon, was it?
that he was flying the air balloon. and all
Sean
that.
Parks.
Yeah.
No, but that was that was the Mummy, wasn't it?
No,
Sean Parks was in
but he was there was a black person in the Mummy. I mean, not in the Mummy.
in Tomb Raider.
Tomb Raider.
I'm gonna have to think about this.
Yeah, because I do.
He's the history man. He knows.
Yeah. Google it.
Yeah.
But from what I was doing music, and from what I heard, it could be a lie, but Angelina Jolie saw me and said, I want him to play the role. And East West Records said no, because he's promoting the album. So you can't do it.
Enemy
That was
of
the first
progress,
one,
bruv.
right? You Google it, right?
No. One moment.
And then the second one, right, was is it being Mary Jane?
The American show with
yeah.
Gabrielle Union.
Right, yeah.
They had a comedian in there who was supposed to be British, right? A stand-up guy. My agent came to me and goes, well, I was in EastEnders. He goes, well, they wanted you on Being Mary Jane because you're black British and you're a stand-up, but we had to turn that down. I went,
What? Why?
I said, what? He goes, EastEnders not going to let you out. And I was like, right. But here's the thing though. This is going back to what Ken was saying. Years before that, McG, he did Charlie's Angels.
McG, yeah.
I went to his house, right? He saw my stand up. This is when I got signed in America, and he came up with a program called Fastlane, which was Bill Bellamy.
Yes.
Right.
So I'm still Googling.
Yeah. Google it. And I was meant
Getting his
to,
history right.
and he wanted me to be the black character in Fastlane.
Right.
Right. But I said, do I need to play an American? And he went, yeah. And I did. And I wasn't confident. And I was like, oh, can he be British? And he goes, it's too late now. And he goes, but I want you to play the role. And I was young, naive. I was thinking, well, I've got other offers. I'll be fine.
Yeah.
Right. And I lost out on it.
Lost out on it.
But I say all of that to say, and I'm going to go back to you saying F.
Yeah.
The
That's
business,
where, yeah.
Right. Nothing happens before time.
Yes, indeed.
Right? Nothing happens before time. So I've had a lot of knockbacks, and as you know, I fell off for a long time, and I came back and blah, 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 blah. And I came back, and when I did EastEnders and the Hollyoaks Now, I thought I was ready for things before. When I did EastEnders, because that's such a fast treadmill, it's one of the fastest in terms of like soaps that are on, right? It's a multi-camera, so they shoot a scene that will take 4 hours on one show. They shoot that in an hour and a bit. Right? Yeah. So you got to be on your A game. Yeah. Right. So I had to, and then I'm working with Bless her, Tamika. I'm working with Tamika, who we go back from before that, Diane Parrish, all these people, right, that are exceptional at what they do. Working with Steve McFadden, who plays Phil. Don't play with him. If you're doing a scene with him, he's off book and he ain't making no mistakes.
No mistakes. Yeah.
You better bring your A game. He's looking at you. He'll deliver. He's looking at you like, don't F up,
Yeah.
Right? So you feel that added pressure. But guess what? You're here, so you better bring it, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, and I've got photographic memory. So I go bam, bam, bam every time, right? Then I'll never forget, I got, my mum passed away of cancer nearly 3 years ago now, right?
Rest in peace.
And I remember I got I did a play called Typical, and I got Hollyoaks. Yeah, and I did first show I didn't need to audition for. They offered me the role, and blah blah.
Nice.
So I was in the car with an ex-girlfriend, and I can't remember where we was going. She was driving. I was on the driving ban, right? she was driving, and my mum called me, and I was like, "You right, mum?" And your mum knows you in it. She said, "Richard, you're not happy about Hollyoaks, are you?" And I said, because I believe in God. I believe you must be grateful, but you can't lie to your mum.
Yeah.
So I said, "Whoa." She goes, "Richard, let me tell you something." She said, "You thought," because she got English and then Jamaican at the same time. She said, "Let me tell you something. You thought that you was going to do EastEnders and then get Hollywood.
Yes.
That's what you thought."
Yeah.
She goes, "That wasn't God's plan."
Yeah.
She goes, "EastEnders was your training." She goes, "You did 3 years, and look out, Vincent is still a name that they call to this very day.
Yeah.
You killed that role so hard that they still write your name, Vincent's name, in the show,
script, yeah.
even though Vincent
You're
dead
not
and
there.
gone."
Yeah.
Right? She goes, "Hollyoaks will be the thing that will take you there." She goes, "Trust and believe." Right? I've been at Hollyoaks 3.5 years. Hollyoaks is probably one of the best jobs I've ever had. And I'm not just saying that because I'm there. Right? One of the best jobs. But the stuff I've learned from EastEnders, I'm on, like, Jamili will tell you when I'm doing my scene, Jamili's like, "The way you just knock it out of the park." And I'm like, I said, I've now had 7 to 8 years experience of working day in, day out. I said, and I'm already a person that I don't believe in doing anything other than perfection. Anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be good. Right. But here's the other thing. So I know that God's saying, I'm training you for that role now. All the stuff you did before was part of the story for other people and for yourself, but I'm training you for the role now. Now, so I've had a lot of knockbacks to say that my role's still coming. Now for you, The Rock said something really prolific, which is that he is a failed American football player. He wasn't trying to be an actor. He was trying to be an American football player, right? He did that podcast with the American football guys, right? And he knew them all and knew of their work because that's who he wanted to be, right? But he had an injury, blah, 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 all these different things, and it didn't work out for him. And then he took up wrestling because his dad was a wrestler. It was a family business, right? But it wasn't what he wanted to do. He wanted to be an American football player, right? Then obviously acting came along and he's now the highest paid actor in the world.
In Hollywood,
bar none, right? And if you remember, it was kind of Wycliffe that brought him through with the tune. It doesn't matter. If you remember that.
It doesn't matter what you say. Yeah.
That tune made everybody that didn't know about wrestling know who The Rock was. Because I think about it, I was into wrestling when the Hulk Hogan and Ultimate
Warrior.
Warrior.
Yeah.
That was my era.
When it was called WWF.
That was my era, right? So The Rock, I stopped watching it when The Rock was in it. And The Undertaker and all that. They weren't, I was like, I kind of, we grew out of it and the next generation was into it, right? So I knew who The Rock was from Wyclef's video. And I was like, who's this guy? It doesn't matter. Why does he keep saying that? Because I don't watch it anymore. But then he became a huge star, right? So I say that to say that you falling out of love with acting, it may be the reason why you fell out of love with it was because God was saying,
you got somewhere else to go.
Here. Like I mean, this is a different podcast, but I've heard Zizi Mills say that she did acting, but she fell out of love with acting.
She went Sylvia Young's.
Right. But you give it to her. She's huge at what she does now, and she's exceptional,
she's incredible.
Do you know what I mean? 100%. And maybe God did that to say, you haven't failed, but I need you to stop here because here is where you're needed. I stopped at presenting. I tell you now, I wouldn't go back to presenting.
Yeah,
because it wasn't where my heart was. But was I successful?
Yes,
sure. Right. Do you know what I mean? I clocked, you might as well say I clocked that game.
Yeah.
Right. But I clocked it not even wanting to be in that game.
Yeah.
Right. This is where I was meant to be. But it was all part of your makeup. Do you know what I mean?
I totally believe that. I do totally believe that.
Yeah. 100%. So that's all I wanted to say in terms of that.
That's actually a great way to end, if I'm totally honest, guys. We have to wrap up now, and I want to thank you all for coming. I want to thank you all for your insight. I believe that the reason why, I've done this podcast is because I believe flowers need to be, given to the generation that came before me, and the generation that laid the foundation. And I feel like, the people here, you two specifically, not to disrespect you, Samuel, right? Because you got loads of years to go. Do you know what I'm saying?
Man.
You got loads of years to go. I'm saying, but these two kind of laid the foundation, and I want to get some honourable mentions in there, and if you guys have them as well, I want to mention Nonzo and Nonzi, who's great, who's an Emmy Award winner. I want to mention Oti Fagbenle.
Yes.
I want to mention Femi Ogun.
Yes.
And off the top of my head, I also want to mention Letitia, right?
Letitia, right?
Yeah. If you guys have got anyone that needs to be mentioned,
I mentioned them earlier. I'm big on mentioning people that came before, right? In the terms of like the posse,
yes,
right? Do you know what I mean? Like, just do your research. There was posse, and then there was the female version. I can't remember their names, and they're going to kill me because I know them as well, right?
The BB crew.
BB crew.
Oh my
You are
God,
too old for your age. You are way.
this guy. Where did he get this information from?
How you know about the BB crew? Now, you need to relax, right? But this is what I'm trying to say. So the BB crew and the posse are the two groups that were the originals of what he does now with Family and all that. They were the originals of that.
Right. Okay.
Right. In terms of like bringing, like he brought through actors with the Family and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Those were the people that did it in the late 70s, 80s. Understand that. Right. And then, as I said, we've seen a lot of them move on and go on to great things, and you wouldn't even know that they were the reasons why we are all here.
Yeah.
Right. Do you know what I mean? Because maybe they didn't get that iconic level of success, right? That we go, oh, I know that person. But the Idrises and all these people that are there now, they would know who the posse is.
Right.
Please understand. Right. So I think my final words would be, I think it's important for the generations that are out there now, your generation and so forth, not you, because I'm just saying generations out there now, it's important the same way that Kem is reeling off names.
Yeah.
That should be standard.
Do you know what he is? As an African say, he would be a griot.
Yeah.
He'll be a griot.
Yeah.
He will be someone who has all the information that you go to. He's like a library, this guy.
No, but what he's doing should not be phenomenal. It should be standard.
Right. You're absolutely right.
Because, as I say, all he's showing me is that he respects the craft he's
100%.
in. Right? Do you know what I mean? Like Tommy, who plays my son on Hollyoaks, he's 21. Right? Tommy, there's not an actor or actress 20, 30 years, 40 years he's seen it that he doesn't know. In the smallest roles, he'll go, oh yeah, that's so-and-so. And you go, raw. And he goes, oh no, I studied. He's a tourist like me. He goes, I know my stuff. Right? But he studies the craft that he's in. So he knows, like I did a scene, and I'm not going to, because we're going to wrap up.
We're going to wrap up.
I did a scene. The reason why you need to know your stuff, I did a scene in Hollyoaks, right? It's on my Instagram, right? Ashley liked it, so big up Ashley, liked it, right? But like, but I did a scene where I stuck it on this guy, but the way I started off was that he had it over me and then I switched on him, yeah? But in the interim, he said something to me and I laughed. I'm so sorry. And then I stuck it on him. Now, people that know their stuff know where I got it from, right? Because you're a sponge and you pick up great things from great people.
You do, yeah.
I got it from Tupac from Juice, right? So I remember I was at work and I showed him and went, oh my God. So there's a classic scene. Tupac was a phenomenal actor, and a lot of people don't realize this.
Yeah, he was.
Brilliant.
Right? Tupac did a scene with Mike Epps, right?
Omar
Epps, not Mike. Mike's the comedian. Omar Epps.
Don't ever get anything wrong about this guy.
Did it right.
Wrong around this guy.
And say Richard doesn't know his shit, right?
Yeah.
Omar Epps.
This guy's got AI brain, you know.
No. I needed him here, otherwise I'd be finished. All right? So he did a scene where he says to Omar, I haven't seen you around. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know, and Omar's like, you're crazy, blah, blah, blah. And he looked at him and he went, and he did a laugh and he went, I'm sorry. He goes, the first time you said that, you know, I was offended because you know what? I am crazy. And he switched on him. He goes, but not only that, I ain't shit. And he goes, so you definitely ain't shit. And he goes, and when I don't feel that you don't need no more, pow, right? But it's the way he goes, you're about to throw down. And just the way he switched on him, you watch that scene and I went, Tupac was a different gear of actor. Everybody knows him for his music, but you don't understand how great of an actor he was. Brilliant. Right? So as I say, I watch people that came before me and I go, that's amazing. So you just take little things, put it in your arsenal. As a stand-up, there's little things I take, put it in my arsenal, and then you shake it and you make it
make
become
it
your own.
yours,
Yeah, do you know what I mean? And you put your little Richardize it, Kemdize it, whatever you do, and you make it your own. And I just think it's important for the younger generation, from music to poetry to acting, whatever it is you're doing in entertainment, especially if you're black British, please, because it hurts me when I see podcasts and people say that I was the first and they came out after the millennium.
Yeah.
What? How dare you?
Yeah,
You came out.
I've had it in the podcast game.
Yeah, you came out after the millennium. You can't be the first of anything.
Yeah.
Right?
It's all been done before, mate.
Everything was done before you from the 80s and the 70s.
Yeah, it's all been done.
30 years prior, before you even come here, it was done. Now, don't get wrong. You may have taken it to the next level.
Yeah.
Because in that scene, I could say I was the first, right? And I'd have to give it up to Lenny, and that's it.
Yes.
But you notice I said there was Curtis, there was Ishmael, right? There was the posse, blah, blah, blah. And the reason why I mention these people is that they just never got the accolade I got.
Yes.
Right? But were they the reason why I am what I am?
Yeah.
1,000,000%. I watched The Real McCoy. I watched Llewellyn Gideon.
Oh, Llewellyn.
Llewellyn Gideon
Yay.
got me to work on the program Pork Pie as a warm-up comedian.
The Desmonds hasn't even been mentioned.
There you go.
Desmonds haven't
didn't
even
want to be
been
the Desmond-off, you know?
The Desmonds is iconic.
No, there you go. But then
He was the warm-up for Pork
I was the
with
warm-up for
Ramjon.
I was the warm-up because she was in the show and she put me forward, and then that's how I got my agent Bev Randall, right? Like Llewellyn was the reason, right? And I watched Llewellyn on The Real McCoy. So this is what I'm trying to say. So if you don't, now there is a generation, you might not know who Llewellyn Gideon is. Right? Exactly. Right? But this is why I'm saying that it's important. Robbie G and Eddie Nestor, these are people. Robbie G is probably the one that's more known for movies. Eddie is more known for radio.
Yeah.
But they both came up as actors.
Listen,
right? It's
Robbie
something
G
that Robbie
in
was
Snatch
in.
was
Robbie
crazy.
he was in what was the vampire movie?
Underworld.
Underworld.
Yeah, he was in Underworld.
He was in all these. He's asked this guy anyway. Rolling with the Nines. He was in everything.
With the Nines, and he's in the Paddington movies. Robbie's had a career, man. He's had a career, and I would throw Robbie in as one of those people because regardless of work, me and Robbie worked together on the Crouchers. People call me AK because of Robbie. Right. Robbie couldn't pronounce my name because he was lazy. He was like Akabusi,
Akabusi.
So, but Robbie's been like someone like a family member. You see what I'm saying? Since we worked together, for whatever reason, he was just like, "You come with me." And so, someone like Robbie. There's Arian Bakari who played my dad in Doctors, and he's also plays the cop in Black Ops. To give it up to yourself, Richard. Because I've even in the green room been able to quote just moments from your career because you don't, we take for granted those formative years and things that were seeped into us. But I mean, personally, I don't, because I remember every time I watched Select or my sister was like, "Oh, Rich is doing this" or whatever.
Yeah.
So there's that. There's even people from my contemporaries. There's people like Mel Amin. There's Femi Yenerin. There's Michael Obiora. There's Troy Glasgow. There's all these people, some of whom you'll know and some of them you won't.
Jimmy Akimbola.
Jimmy Akimbola was in. Yes, Jimmy's another name. And some people have gone on to pivot to do different things. Femi Yenerin produces and writes. Femi gave me a job the other day. You know what I mean? He gave me an acting job.
Not Femi Ogun.
No, Yenerin.
Oh, okay.
No, Yenerin, who played Mooney in Kidulthood.
Okay.
And
are you in the new film? You're not in
No. We did some drunk history stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. And he called me from Trinidad and was just like, "Look, I want you to come and do this thing." I was like, sure. But my point being is that, there's some of my contemporaries who I, am inspired by and look up to. I'd always give it to Ashley because just, my career has two parts. I make music as well. I'm a really frustrated, musician. Yeah. And Ashley was someone really early on when we worked on Life and Lyrics. He was just like, there's this rumor going around that you're really good at music. And then so Ashley just kind of took me under his wing. I was producing music for his company for years. And so Ashley is just like someone who just as a man and as a creative talent, I've always respected, and as someone who just carries himself, publicly in a, great way. So
And he's one of the originals.
He is.
You have
Big
to give it to
time.
him. He's one of
Big
the
time.
originals.
Well, and we're naming. I mean, I suppose Richard, you brought up the BB crew, but there's the ladies we have to shout out as well.
Yeah, we do.
Joe Martin,
Oh,
Mona
God,
Hammond, rest in peace.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so lucky that I got to work with her, and she's an institution in and of herself, but she passed last year, sadly. Luella Gideon, who we mentioned, people like Martina Laird, you mentioned Diane Parrish. Yo, powerhouses, man.
Yeah.
Prime time powerhouses as well. Martina Laird did Casualty for years. Diane Parrish was on The Bill for years and Enders for years. The list will go on, but I'll name those names and that'll be my piece.
Cool. Samuel, you got any honorable mentions before we go?
Oh man, Leon Oldstrong. He's like he's a good friend of mine, but he's like a visionary in this filmmaking, writer, director thing, man. Andy Amadi as well, who's also a filmmaker as well. He creator of Backchat and he actually ZZ Mills show.
Yeah.
So he does Blue Therapy as well.
Blue Therapy as well. So that's my guy as well.
I
man.
I ain't gonna lie, the guilty pleasure.
Blue
Blue Therapy.
Blue Therapy is going to do incredibly well.
They're smart, whoever, I used to think whoever came up with these shows know what they're doing, because even if it's not real, you're not sure.
Yeah, you're not sure it's real.
But I was hooked. Like when Blue Therapy was the one with what's his name?
Paul.
That guy.
Yeah.
Genius.
Yeah.
He would say, what was it saying he would say?
I can't even remember. But
He would say like, are you something like to say, are you sure that you want to say that? Or something he would say. And I'll go, this is genius. Whoever came up with this, they're so smart. Anyway, go on, I just want to say that.
Any more?
Just people around me, really, man. Because I'm building.
You're building. That's very true.
I'm building.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
very
coming
true.
up with people around me that want to do the same thing. You know what I'm saying?
Does it feel easy, or does it feel like it's hard for you? I know it's hard to compare it to anything, but does it feel like there's a path, and that's a straight path to go through, if that makes sense?
Or acting?
Yeah.
It feels hard, man.
Okay.
It feels hard. Especially so we mentioned roles before and roles that I've missed out on. I just remembered another one, Fubar, which is Netflix original. It's got Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so I auditioned for the geek, the black.
Oh, the guy.
Yeah,
Really?
the tech guy.
Yeah.
Tech guy, yeah.
So I
That would've been a
auditioned
good
for
role.
him as well.
Hey. Is he
But
English?
No.
He's
I
American.
think he's American.
he's
I
American.
think he's American. Yeah, but no, I feel like there's a lot of gatekeeping sometimes. I don't know. There's a lot
Interesting.
Ooh, we never spoke about that.
Some-
We never spoke about that, but
sometimes-
we might have. We're gonna come back. Don't worry.
Yeah, sometimes there's a bit of I want an opportunity to audition for this role, but you're gonna get this guy that's been in that and this, that, just because his name is popping at that moment. You're not gonna give me an opportunity.
Do you know what?
You know what I'm saying?
No,
That's why I've kind of gone into producing and writing my own stuff as well now.
But just don't be discouraged. That's basically what I'm saying.
Wisdom.
Yeah.
Listen, guys. Again, thank you all for joining me. This has been a great show. There's been too many gems dropped in this show. Too many gems dropped in this show. And then, like I said, I want to give you all your flowers. And Samuel, I want to wish you all the best on your career. We're going to wish you the best in your career, Richard. We're going to wish you the best, Akemnji. And I just want to thank everybody else for tuning in. And like I said before, you're right. If you want to eat some good Caribbean food, you check out Landy's Kitchen. And if you want these cool socks, Afro pop socks, go check out.
I can't even lift my leg up.
Go check out the link in the
But just
description.
know in spirit I've got them.
Here we are, Afro Pop Socks. Go check them out. Family, thank you for tuning in. I'm going to catch you on the flip side. Peace.